So, hello everyone. Welcome to another video on the series Fun with Python with Akansha Academy. And today, guys, we will be discussing exception handling, something like which most of us are aware, but we do not know how to implement this effectively. Okay, so we will be discussing or going through few questions which will make your concepts very clear. And whenever you encounter similar situation during your interview or during your project or during any discussion, you will be able to implement it in a much better way. You will be able to implement exception handling in a much better way. Okay, so with this promise, let's start the video, guys, and we'll be going to the question one. Okay, which is divide and rule. Okay, now what does this means, divide and rule? Okay, what do you understand here? So let's go to the question. We have a try and except block. Okay. So the exception handling is done with zero division error. Then we are trying to get a number uh, as an input from the user, and we are trying to convert it to int. And now we are trying to print this number. Okay, 10 divided by this number. Now, if we want to create this zero division error, then definitely, like, if we input the number as 0, then this will come. Okay, now we have only implemented this exception, which is zero division error. But what will happen if we do anything else other than this zero division error? Okay, what happens like in case of other exceptions? Okay, we'll see here in the question, like while implementing the question. So see, as we always say, how do you understand something, learn something, is by executing or really implementing this. Okay, so let's run this question. So it is asking for a number. So in the first instance, let's give the number as 1. Okay, so while printing, it is giving us the float, like, which is the default with behavior of print. Okay, now in the second run, what we will do, we will try to give the number as 0. So it has gone to the exception block and it has written, oops, you can't divide by 0, right? So this is ideal scenario. Now we'll try to raise some other kind of exception. Okay, it is asking to enter a number. So what we'll do, we will enter the number in a string format. It has taken something. So what happened? Like, instead, like, why do we write exception at the first place? We write it so that all the kind of exceptions are handled, and we will be able to log this exception somewhere in our code. Okay, so that we can take necessary action. Let's suppose a file is not present and we are trying to open a file, then we want that it should send out an email that the file is not yet present in the required directory, so that we can alert. And what happens, like, if it silently fails? Okay, as we see here, like, the code silently fails, it throws an error. Since we are running it manually, we can check, but in production environment, whenever the code runs, we will not be aware. It will fail and it will sit there. Okay, all the necessary actions which should have been taken care will not happen. So we need to explicitly, what we can do, we can, like, write an exception block so that we can take any action, okay, based on our coding. Like, let's suppose we want to send out an email or any kind of alert, or we want to raise a Jira ticket. So all those things can be taken care with the help of exception. Okay, so in this scenario, what happened, though we have written the exception block, but it is not a generic or like well caught exception. Like, not every scenarios are caught here. Okay, so there can be scenarios where the code will again, like, it will silently, it will fail. Right, now I hope that we understood something, and let's move to the next question. Multiple accepts, one mystery. Okay, now we'll go to the question. where we have a list. In the list we have three elements and we are trying to print uh, the element with index 3. So we have 0, 1, 2. So the element with index 3 is not at all present. Okay. So we have an except block where it is writing index error, print list index out of range. Okay. Now we have another except block where we have written a general, like any, for any kind of exception, what it will do, some other error occurred. So for this index out of range error, out of bound or out of range error, both are fine. Like it is in the general exception, like it is a part of general exception also, it is a part of index error also. So what do you think, guys? What will happen? Will it execute both the exception blocks, or it will execute one of the exception blocks? What will happen? Or it will throw error that we cannot define more than one exception. So with this question we will be able to understand this in a better way. In case of exception, what happens? So what do we see? It has run just the first exception. Okay, not about a generic since this is a generic one, this is a specialized kind of exception handling where we are particularly saying for index error. No, it is happening because whatever exception is like obeying, or like as per the use case, if it falls under this exception, it will be executed and it will like neglect all the other exception blocks which we have written. So even if in case of like multiple exceptions, sorry guys, it will only execute one exception out of all, right? So that's why the heading multiple excepts one mystery. Okay, which one will execute is the mystery. So we have unveiled the mystery, and now with this we will be moving to our next question, the else clue. Okay, now we can see we have the try in the except block, trying something risky, x equal to 5 divided by 1. We have a except block, but I don't think there will be zero division error, so I don't think this will be printed. Now all of a sudden we have this else block. Without having a if, we have a else block where we are trying to print no errors found, smooth run. Okay, we will run this and then we will try to understand what is the purpose of writing an else in this try and except. So what we see, it has printed trying something risky, which is the first statement. So by default it will be printed, but it didn't went inside the exception because there is no exception. Okay, now let's suppose we change this to 0. Okay, and what we see in the earlier example, we see that the print statement was like it went inside the else block and it has printed no errors found, smooth run. What will happen if there is some exception? We'll try to rerun and there is. So what happened? It has went inside the except block and written caught division error, but by default this else block is not executed. So what we run learn here, guys, is in case we do not have any exception, okay, then the else block will get executed, and in case we have some exception, it will just go inside the except block. So this coding style, what we can do, let's suppose we have some file handling or we are trying to connect with some server, and then we need to do couple of steps. So what we can do, inside the try we can write all those connection settings. Okay, either we are trying to hit an API or trying to connect to a server, trying to open a file or do some operation. We'll write all the necessary exceptions, and then inside the else block we can write the actual code where in case we have all the scenarios covered, or if all the conditions are satisfying, then only we will uh, execute the program, right? So I hope that we learned this point as well. And we'll be moving to the next question here, the finally secret. So we have the try, except, and what is the use of this finally, we'll see in this example. So in the try we are trying to opening trying to print something, then we have a zero division error. Definitely it will happen. So we have a except block division failed, and then we have the finally block. So will the finally execute in case of exception also, or how it happens? Okay. So let's run this. So we have the try except. So finally is executed as well. So I will tell you guys what is happening. We have the try block, we have the accept block, and we have the finally block. So in case, let's suppose we are opening some connection, we are opening some file, or we are doing some operation where we require to close a few resources before the program exits. So in all those scenarios, we will use the finally block, right? Most of you are already aware of this, but it is for them who are not aware, or you can take it as a refresher question, right? And we'll be coming to the last question of this video, where we have nested trouble. Nested trouble in the sense, we have one try block, accept block, inside it we have another try and accept block, and then we are trying to raise again. Okay. So what will happen, like x equal to integer of 3? Okay, definitely it will fail because 3 is a string, it is not an integer. So value error is definitely there. So inner catch will it will catch. Now what is the role of this raise? We will understand here. So let's run this code in order to understand. So the inner catch was executed, and also outer catch was executed. Invalid literal for int with base 10 3. So 3 is in short, it is not a like integer, okay, which we can typecast, right? So why do we use this inner outer try catch? So what happens? Let's suppose in the we have a local and global concept. So locally, what happened? It was able to print the exception because it was caught under the except value error. But what about the global things? Let's suppose globally, like inside the code, we want to execute few other things. Okay, let's suppose we are printing the number of records we have processed, or the number of files we have processed, or we are doing some housekeeping operations. We want to list down how many files we have deleted as part of the housekeeping. So in all those scenarios, we want to know, in case of any failure, the globally also it should be aware. The main program should be aware that there is an exception, take the necessary action, right? So we have learned a lot of exception handling there, like in this video, guys. So if you find this video useful, please hit the thumbs up button. Okay, press the like button, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon so that you will be getting these videos, fun with Python videos every time. Like you will be aware, and you can go through whenever you have some free time. You can learn it. You can utilize your free time to learn something, right? And we'll be coming up with similar videos. Now in this series, we were discussing fun with Python, like a tricky question, interesting question, or question which will enhance your knowledge, or edge case scenarios, right? So you can view the entire playlist. It is very useful and very interesting, and it will enhance a lot of your knowledge. You can share it with your all your friends and family, guys. It will help them as well. Okay. And next, we'll be coming up with interview questions in Python. Okay, how to handle interviews. It will be for anyone, like it will be a beginner friendly series where we will be discussing from the point of view of a beginner, someone who has started learning Python. So it will be someone like, let's suppose from manual testing we are moving to automation, or we are a ETL engineer and we are trying to move to data engineering. Definitely this Python haunts us. Okay, this Python questions we will be asked to code live during the interview. So it is very difficult if we don't practice, but it is very easy if we are already aware of the concepts and we are like in practice, right? So thank you so much, guys, for staying till this point in the video. And as I have asked you, please share it with all your friends and family and colleagues so that they can also learn something. Thank you, and we'll be back with another video.